Look at that, huh? How about that for one way to contemplate the body? As I get some things together, I'm getting them together. Hello, these are Meridian channels. So this is one way to chart the energy body. I'm putting some materials together for a way to contemplate anatomy for neurodivergent humans. And this is one of the views. It's kind of like it's like a combination street map and switchboard. It's almost like a switchboard. So these different channels, they're called meridians, and they go all over the body. Like, how can I contemplate them so many different ways? But they're like their own highway system in the body. And what you're looking at behind me is the front view of a human. To this side are all of the muscles and everything. And then on this side are the meridians. And those are the channels of energy that go with our different organs: heart, pericardium, gallbladder, liver, spleen, small intestine, lung, kidney. And these different lines, each of these points, when you go to the acupuncturist, they put a little needle in you. They'll put them in these different points to influence the flow of energy through these channels. And when we're talking about chronic pain or complex trauma, inherited trauma, generational trauma, all of these become even more meaningful as ways to contemplate positioning in the body, positioning of a body, and also just the lived experience. And so I'm writing another book for us. That is what's happening. Fluffy Cats is here. I think I'm going to turn on some music. I'm going to put on some music and have a decent sounding. There we go. I have a decent sounding, what's this? It's a speaker. So, here, all right. What kind of music do you like? What kind of music should we listen to? Do you know what's really fascinating is, do you see this line here? This is for the heart. This red one. Where else can I show you? Let me get things going first of all. Just put on some nice background music here. I'm just looking for some music. So this is one way to chart the body. I go chart, and so this is the meridian map of Chinese medicine. And now we have some group salad going. There, nice. Okay. Yes. So the meridians. So when we're gestating, all of these channels are like, they're just part of the goo. They're here, they're not here, I don't know, because we're still gestating. And then when the cord is cut, on the outside, the channels and the different energy pathways are displayed through these meridians. And when I say displayed, I mean that your Chinese medicine doctor is contemplating your body as though it is its own map. But it's your body, your map, your lived experience. So this red, that's the heart. And then here's the heart here. So our heart line, the heart meridian, is on the inside. It's just interesting, right? Because we have our heart here, that's where the muscle is, but here's where the channel, here's where the pathway, the energy pathway that's close to the surface is envisioned and understood as existing and living somewhere. And then it's mirrored on both sides of the body. So even though the heart is here and we only have one, we have a meridian on both sides of the body. Same with your liver. That line is all the way down here though. It's a lower line. So when you go to the Chinese medicine doctor, if you have something going on with your liver, they might actually give you a little needle all the way down here. Wow, she's kind of freaky looking this way, isn't she? So this is I contemplate this like a switchboard or a computer operating system, much more than I do like a map. There are 12 major meridians, and they go together in pairs. So the heart is paired with the small intestine. The lung is paired with the large intestine. And the pairing of the organs and the pairing of the meridians are based on the ideas of yin and yang, which you might already be familiar with as this symbol. I just wrote it down real quick. Yin and yang. Positive and negative. Up and down, day and night, not good or bad, just positive, negative, up, down, good, night, or day, night. So, oh, you've been wanting to learn. Well, here we go. I'm so happy you're here. I'm putting together a resource right now that has an introduction to all of this, as well as the extraordinary vessels. So these 12 main meridians speak to like our day-to-day. Oh, and I want to be clear, I'm coming to this as a philosopher and a yogi, not as an acupuncturist. And I just think that's relevant because I'm contemplating this alchemy as though it's being directed into our own bodies through the mind, through art, through catalysts, but not necessarily through medicine or intervention. So all of these pathways have been mapped already. We don't need to worry about it. That's where they are. Something else I really love about this as a way to contemplate a body is like when I had my mastectomy and I was doing all of the acupuncture for the pain of my mastectomy and just getting through my cancer treatment, my acupuncturist was able to treat my right side from the left because of how these meridians go. And when I had my stroke, when I had a functional stroke in 2018 and I could not walk, I was feeling sensations in my body and shocks moving through my body, like all kinds of weird stuff that made no sense until I remembered, oh, that's right, meridians. And the meridians made sense. So on the back of me, as an example, hold on. I actually don't know all the meridians off by heart because I don't do invasive Chinese medicine, but I want to see. Can I get in here? Possibly not. On the back of me, I was feeling a lot of shocks up my back. In this area in particular. Now I have to go look and see what these are. I want to say this is, oh, this is Dumai. Oh, that's even more interesting. Okay, this is one of the extraordinary vessels. Extraordinary vessels are the vessels of gestation, but they're not necessarily vessels of existence. Like they're like that. They're magical mysticals. Magical mystical is a good thing in Chinese medicine, by the way. It relieves a lot of effort for what you and I might actually have to do. So we'll just hang out here with Dr. Vikakuri as I continue to add some things. So let me tell you a little bit about these different meridians and what they do for us, because there are associations with all of this that relate to our emotions, our organs, any number of things. But first I need to go take care of a bio thing. I'll be right back. Thank you very much. Welcome. We're discussing the meridians. I just had a little bio break. The lung meridian. Lung meridian is, I must find the lung. It's this blue here. So I'm going to get a little bit away from here so you can see. I'll show you. So your lung meridian is here. Okay. And our lung meridian is paired with the large intestines, which are, I gotta find it. One moment. Oh, okay. So the large intestine are more on the back of the arms. Oh, look at that. I was just sitting outside for a bunch this week. So the lungs are here. The large intestine is here. Lungs and large intestine are paired together. In your body, your lungs are here, and your large intestine is part of your digestive system. So something that this shows is, first of all, I have no idea how they determine the pairing of organs. Please do not ask me. But it's just the pairings. It's how they go together. Lungs and large intestine are associated with the element of metal. And this is a very, very important element in Chinese medicine, mysticism, cosmology, and especially alchemy. Most other systems I've been introduced to don't have metal as one of the main elements. They will have ether as an element. And the presence of metal as an element in Chinese medicine means that alchemically, because I'm speaking to yoga, not to medicine, although yoga is medicinal, but alchemically, I don't need to do anything, gather anything, change anything, or acquire anything in order to do alchemy with metal in my body. It's already there. Ether, where is ether? I don't know where ether is. The other thing is the lungs and large intestine. Our large intestine goes from above the belly button to below the belly button. And the pairing of the lungs and large intestine is the only pairing of organs in this system where you have an organ above and below the belt. So from a meridian perspective, just from this perspective, we might give primacy to the large intestine from the perspective of digestion, then to the stomach, because the lungs and large intestine go above and below the horizon. So this line on the body, the belly line on the body, maps to, it's the same as the equator on the planet, just from like a metaphor perspective. So the above and below the equator, as it relates to the alchemy of these meridians, is in the, what subway lines? These are meridian channels. I love that you said subway. It's very much subway. So this is a map of the meridians of Chinese medicine. And what I'm showing you here is the pathways that have been identified that go with our different organs. The organs are paired, yin and yang. And then the different dots are, when you put a needle in that area, it will affect change. It'll have an influence on the energy moving through the channels. Oh, I just turn into welts whenever I get a mosquito bite. So the lungs and large intestine, the sense that's associated with the lungs and large intestine is the sense of smell. Makes sense. We need to breathe to smell. The lungs and large intestine, I'm going to have to read you what the lungs are for, because we shouldn't trust me to remember this shit. There's way too much. The lung meridian is the main controller of chi, or life force energy for the body, and respiration. Respiration is breathing. Respiration is something that our body will do whether or not we ask it to. It's also, of those autonomic functions, the automatic stuff that our body does, it can be the easiest to consciously control, because you could do that right now. Take a breath in through your nose, out of your mouth. A little bit easier than if I was to say drop your heart rate by 5 points a minute, though you could with practice, possibly. So the lung meridian, being the main controller of chi or ki, it opens to the nose, and has to do with skin and body hair. The large intestine is the meridian of the large intestine. So the pathway of the large intestine, yes, is responsible for waste removal in the body. It's paired with the lungs and also associated with the experience of grief and courage. The sound that we're given through the tantric practices to balance the experience of grief and courage is S, which I think this is going to show up backwards for you. These are all in the free materials. that you can download. But you would smile to your organs, breathe in courage, let go of grief, and make an S sound. And now using your breath to help balance lung and large intestine without the needle. Does it make your lung cancer go away? Of course not. Absolutely not. However, it does make the experience of not being able to breathe a little bit easier. In my experience, I have long COVID and asthma and allergies and everything, and this is very much, these practices have helped me since that diagnosis, and certainly for decades leading up to it. There's an entity associated with the lungs, an entity associated with the experience of lungs, the experience of grief and courage, and the entity is called Po. P-O. I made a little version of Po because I'm that way. So here's my version of Po. Po is grief, so I made Po kind of sad. This is in this little picture book you can get on my website. But what's so wonderful about this frame is that, ow! Whoa, okay. When they did the dissection of the lymph nodes in my armpit, it just had there's a lot of not healed nerves in the area, and she just bit one of them. She's real good at it. Hurt. Okay. So Po having to do with grief and courage. Po is one of the entities that Carl Jung brought with him when he gave us anima, animus, and the shadow and everything. But he was lazy, okay? He didn't want to ask for instructions or directions. It's all right here. So something that's really useful to know also is that where these occur is surface. So if you've ever heard of acupressure, acupressure is a very similar thing to acupuncture, where you're going into where these spots are and just doing little bits of literal pressure. Ma'am, my cat's having a meltdown. So the next one that I want to introduce you to is the stomach meridian. And your stomach meridian is going face, and then it has like a whole, like this kind of thing happening. It's going down your legs, and it's paired with the spleen, which comes back up. So stomach comes whoop down, and then the spleen goes up. And the stomach and spleen together have to do with the earth element in the body, which should be shown in this yellow because earth is yellow in Chinese medicine. So you can see how the organs are paired, and then the pathways are complex. Look, would you stop? You're so cute. You want some water? Okay, come on. Come on. Our spleen in this system, the spleen is so very important. She wanted to sit on my poof, my cat. She just wanted to sit where I was sitting. Hello. So the stomach and spleen, do you see how it goes all the way down to your feet, and then all the way, stomach goes all the way up to the head. So here the stomach is like a whole body pathway. Spleen is most body. And together they have a lot to do with our experience of how we take things in, digestion, how we digest just like information, but very, very much immunity. So there's been some recent research into stimulating the vagus nerve up at the neck, all the way up here, to see that there is downstream impact and influence on the spleen itself. This was most recently, I saw a paper about doing some research in mice, but vagus nerve stimulators are becoming more popular and presented more for humans as well. And what these researchers are noticing is if you stimulate the vagus nerve, the spleen starts to respond in kind. Awesome. We could also just do that with these practices that I'm bringing you into right now that you may not even be aware of that. There are a bunch of free materials in my link tree, as well as little things you can buy. So this stomach and spleen, this is the lived experience of trust and the lived experience of worry. Stomach and spleen is every adverse childhood experience. Stomach and spleen is war. Stomach and spleen it's anything that's this environment and the environment I might be on or in rolls up and into stomach and spleen. And so as it relates to the whole body as a container for alchemy, the stomach and spleen, that's where earth is. Earth is an element. It happens in our stomach and spleen. And the experience of worry can mess a whole bunch of that up. The vagus nerve is incredible in the way it touches so many systems. It innervates so much as well. It goes through so much. Very, very, very correct. Yeah, for sure. Stomach and spleen so the stomach meridian, which is the one here on the outside. So stomach is going to be here. Okay. Spleen is here. Stomach is one of the most important meridians in Chinese medicine because it has to do with nourishment and processing and how we take stuff in. It is associated with taste, sense of taste, meaning taste leaves in the mouth. The spleen, which is this other one here, the spleen meridian is paired with the stomach, and it has to do with digestion and production of qi and blood. So energy and blood, as well as the transport of nutrients. The spleen has a lot to do with mental clarity and focus. So you could contemplate the spleen as, how shall I say? I don't want to tell you how to contemplate your spleen. I don't want to turn you into my stomach, it's what I'm not wanting you to do. But that the spleen and stomach go together. They have to do with the earth element. And the entity associated with the spleen is Yi, Y-I. I have her displayed this way. You might have her displayed any other number of ways. This is how she's all over the free materials, other not so free materials, and in this little picture book I made. And then I also gave you, of course, exercises that you can do to tone the channel, but also to have a relationship with these entities, which I gotta say is amazing. It's incredible. It alleviates a lot of work. Like, I can just know that they tell me that there's a Yi doing the thing. Oh, that's awesome. All I need to do is connect into, remember, I have a stomach and spleen. And if it hadn't already been working for thousands and thousands of years, I might have a different opinion. But Chinese medicine, friends, changed in thousands of years. And it goes down this way, and then the small intestine comes up here. And then there's also like a little jagged jag that occurs on the back. So the heart meridian on my back, it comes up the back. What? And then it has like a little jiggy jag. Jig jag. What are you doing? Boop, boop. Heart and large intestine, associated obviously with the fire element, if not obvious, associated with the fire element. Heart here meaning your actual beating muscle. Okay? And it is, the heart is the home of the main spirit, the Shen of all of our organs, which is also called Shen. This has to do with vitality, life force, energy. This is the seat of hate and joy. The small intestine meridian has a lot to do with digestive and emotional. Small intestine meridian has a lot to do with digestive and emotional distinctions. Sometimes it's translated, it's determining which goes where, and influences hearing. So hearing is all the way up here at the top, and in the knee too, which is Chinese medicine that your acupuncturist uses. This is also what they're using, but when they look at, when your acupuncturist is thinking about what's happening on the inside of you, that's happening through a different, this is what's happening on the inside of you. Can I get this? Does it show? No, it's not going to show. It won't show because I have that whatever on. I'm trying to talk to you and think at the same time. Very challenging. Very, very challenging. Yeah. So I'm going to look for blue because I know kidneys are water. That's lungs, kidneys. There we go. Boom. Oh, look at that. All the way in there. There's your kidney right here. The bladder meridian, though, is this one on the gallbladder, not the gallbladder. Wait a minute, hold on. I may have the wrong. Do I have the wrong gallbladder? Kidney. I'm just looking. I don't want to tell you that, I don't want to send you to the wrong subway station. Bladder is coming up the back. That's why we don't see it. So the kidneys and bladders, oh, that's why, Katie, silly girl. Kidney and bladder on the back, obviously, because that's where we have all the freaking out when we're feeling anxious. It's happening from the back. Kidneys are the water element for the whole body. And the kidneys, though, have to do with blood. So they have to do with filtering blood. Yes, ma'am? She's so very cute over here. Hold on one sec. I'm just looking for, there we go. Nice, all right. So the bladder is going to go, pretend that you're looking at the back of the body and it's just on the other side. There's a practice called the microcosmic orbit where if you see this line here that's bisecting the body in the middle, this line here If I turn my head this way, that's going to show you one hemisphere of my brain. One hemisphere of my brain. This line, contemplated as the main line, okay? Just like the way I think about it is like the main plug that would go into a wall, or I would pull out of a wall, or like the main switch. And that the kidneys and bladder meridians are so close to this main line says a lot about how important it is that we're cultivating an awareness of where the water element is in our body. And that to me is a little bit more nuanced than is the body actually regulated, because it's going to be asking more questions about what's the quality of the water. Is it choppy? Is it deep? Is it stormy? You don't think so? I would love to know what you don't think. Please tell me, tell me. Tell me, tell me. Do we not like the concept of using this to understand bodies? I would love to know a different one. Please, please. There's more than one way. That's for damn sure. This line on the here, this is the conception vessel. And on the back of the body, it's called the governing vessel. And these are the lines that go right into the center. Governing and conception. That also has to do with making babies. As it relates to the elements, it's also speaking to things that we can do alchemically that are going to increase or grow, and things we can do that are going to impede or direct. So guiding and pulling, rather than on or off and that it's a dynamic relationship. But this here, who convinced me of what? This is just Chinese medicine. There's no convincing that needs to happen. Also, I believe in a proton. This line here, this meridian, or this is the corona of the brain, the coronal axis of the body. This is where, if you ever work in a restaurant, this is front of the house, back of the house. This is front end developing, back end developing. This is business to consumer. This is business to business. Why don't you just go be somewhere else? That works too. Can I make you go away? There we go. All right. Sorry, I just had to block that account. Because I don't need to talk about who convinced me of what. Okay, back to the whole with the things and the meridians. Something that's really useful when contemplating the meridians is when the Yellow Emperor, who is the human who has been given the credit for inventing invasive Chinese medicine, which is Chinese medicine with the needles. Yellow Emperor, when he wrote what he wrote about how to do acupuncture, was very much like, hey man, back off, do less. Let me read some of what he wrote. Just to get a sense of how reserved Chinese medicine is in how it contemplates other bodies. Because Western medicine is not reserved. Western medicine is, we're going to get in there, we're going to go, we're going to, it's all intervention based. Chinese medicine is intervention, innervate, just like the vagus nerve innervates. It goes through. So just speaking to the art of medicine, the a student asks the Yellow Emperor, how are things made? So there are 5 elements, 5 main organs, 5, 5, 5. You just hear 5 all the time. And those are speaking to the 5 main organs, 10 of the 12 meridians. And the 5 organs that they're often speaking to are the lungs, the liver, the spleen, the kidneys, and the heart, very specifically. I'm saying we add the pericardium at the end because we are Western, but here's how this is how the inventor of Chinese medicine, of course it's trying. Here's how the inventor of Chinese medicine speaks to. It's one of the original great functional medicine practices. It's all from the women. All of this, I don't think that the Yellow Emperor, or I know Lao Tzu wasn't real, but I knew that for a long time. Okay. In the Middle Ages, people lost the natural way. They no longer knew the correct way to live. Exterior pathogens invaded the body more easily, although people were still relatively strong. People then took herb wines and cured their diseases. However, modern patients who utilize only herb wines will not be able to get well. The reason is that nowadays people actually disregard the principles of healthful living. Bodies are weaker, illnesses come more easily and more complex. Now, different techniques may be used to treat the inside and the outside. They include herbs, acupuncture, moxibustion, and so forth. You should know how to use poison to treat properly because illnesses have become so compound. This is 1,000 years before Christ. Here's this human's making observations about the complexity of illnesses. Where are we now? We are in complex realities. And he's very much about being the primary virtue that is called for in, as I understand it, Chinese medicine invasive, is the virtue of moderation. It's not even less is more, it's more, it's just what it is what it is. Jing, the start, the foundation, the base. Yes, the Yellow Emperor. My mother told me a story once. My mother was also a scholar in this, about how the Yellow Emperor decided that he was true north. And he just made everybody make him the center and the most important. But really the earth is the center, it's the middle. So on a map, earth, how does it go? God, this is where we get into all the math that you have to do. But earth on a map is the middle of a map. Earth in your environment is you. Depending on the direction of the alchemy, where the Yellow Emperor is will change. In that, if the Yellow Emperor represents the total of a whole ass human, when the alchemy is directed inward, when it's inside, earth becomes one of the elements that we work with because we have earth in us through the spleen. If you come over to my house and we're going to do some feng shui in my environment, earth is my environment. So the base becomes the environment, the physical location. Does that make sense? Homeostasis, hysteresis. Let me look up hysteresis. Probably. Hysteresis from a tensegrity perspective, I have to now contemplate it in other ways. So we have earth as an element in the body, as where is the fuck is the yellow emperor, as the spleen, as so many different things, and with an entity. So you can see, I love it as a neurodivergent human because I can be fully so abstract in my understanding of this, and somebody else might have a very practical need to just be like, no, I need to actually see what I'm doing. And then you can say, oh, okay, well then let's just have a little, let's pretend like this is Earth. Let's just make this Earth. Hysteresis is the lag. I can't go there right now. I don't know. Quite possibly. You're way too galactic for me, Shay. I love Shay's mind. I love it when I meet other brains like mine. It's just so exciting. So exciting. Okay. The next. Moving on, where are we? Here we go. From the bladder and the kidney to the pericardium and the triple burner. Thank you for the rose. I really appreciate it. Pericardium is the cosmic ball sack of love. That's what I would encourage you to contemplate the pericardium as. The pericardium is the home of the heart. It's the satchel where the heart is. It's the actual tissue. That is the pericardium. Pericardium is so important in Chinese medicine. It's its own organ. And it's paired with something called the triple burner, which when I was originally introduced to the concept, I was introduced to the concept through the tantric practices. And that introduction said that the triple burner is just like basic balance in the body, warming up the hot heat, cold feet, cooling down the hot head, just balance. But contemplating the triple burner physically as positioned with the child on the star bridge, the inner child. Can I get a good angle here for the, no, I can't. With the inner child. The child on the star bridge, that is also our thymus gland. So the triple burner and the pericardium are I like to think of them as the grounding wire to the heart, to the fire of the heart. They're the grounding aspect. So they're contemplated as the yin aspect of fire, and the heart is contemplated as the yang aspect of fire. So if you think about a boy and a girl coming together, the twin flames are the yang of the heart and the lungs, and the yin of the heart and the pericardium. And now we have a nice little star bridge twin. But then you add CPR, and don't get me started into CPR. So speaking to the pericardium and the triple burner, the pericardium is very relevant to the experience of emotional injury, like moral wounds, as well as menstruation and overwhelm, emotional overwhelm. So when stuff gets to be too much, when it floods. The triple burner is associated with the ears, with hormone regulation, and it is unique. This is now saying, because it doesn't correspond to an organ, it corresponds to a gland, a bow drill for a fire. Yes, whatever that is, I'm sure. And then the last is the gallbladder and liver. And gallbladder is a wild, wild ride, because the gallbladder meridian is in the head. It's on the back of the head. It goes down here. Then it kind of disappears. Then it's here on the sides. And then it goes down the outside of your leg. Whereas the liver, your liver meridian is nice, easy. It's just like here on the inside of the leg. My always, every time I go to the acupuncturist, every time, right here, every time. Is my name Pfizer because I broke your heart? Oh, I don't know what that means, but thank you. You've gall problems. Let's do the sound for the liver. It's SH. Shh. Do you see these? Do you see the liver and gallbladder here? Do you see those two big giant stations, those two big points? So you can bring your hands here, like we got liver happening, and then it's the SH, shh, for the liver. The liver as an organ is a massive, massive detoxifying organ. Some of the folks I have trained with speak to the liver as governing blood. It's the governor of blood. Liver is a filter. So if our body was what's another metaphor? If our body was a fish tank, the liver would be like the main filter. It has a lot to do with I'm looking at this. It governs the eyes, is associated with clarity, has a lot to do with outbursts. And the gallbladder has to do with decision making. So the entity that Carl Jung brought over with him when he brought us the shadow, the entity associated with the liver is Hun. Hun and Po are the two creatures, the two entities that Carl Jung brought from this system. He stole everything. So he brought Hun and Po. And one way you can contemplate that is this. So Hun and Po are your arms, Ji, Yi, and Shen, belly, heart, and head as earth, fire, and water, metal, and wood. Earth, fire, water, metal, wood, and then we can do all kinds of things with it. And also, earth, metal, fire, if you like a internal family system, here's your exile, your firefighter, and your manager. Here's your hypo-aroused, hyper-aroused window of tolerance. I have it all here for you because it's easier this way. Don't need to do 27 different kinds of math. But you might need to join over here. Can I map that? Yes. How would you like me to map it? You're welcome to text me on the side, Shay. Shay's my new friend, by the way. I don't know how many of you have made a friend where you're like immediately, like I had a conversation yesterday with a new friend. It must have been 4 or 5 hours talking about Michel Foucault. But this is not Michel Foucault. So we're mapping this, but I don't know what Shay's asking me to map. Let's talk about Jing, Qi, and Shen. Jing, Qi, and Shen. These are children's toys. And this is the spam call. Jing, Qi, and Shen is taking us to the inner landscape. This is the outer, this is like topography. This map of the meridians is very analogous to whenever you're shown a picture of the body and it is labeled. I have you can, I don't know if I have it in my free materials. There are a bunch of free materials, Jumbo Sparkles. I can also, I don't have this for sale or anything right now, if that's what you're asking. You can see vibrations of light. So what you're looking at here are meridians. They're called meridians, Meridians, meridians. I have free materials in my link tree. I'm working on a book right now that has all of the resources for this on it. But I need to know what I'm supposed to be mapping. I want to talk about Jing, Qi, and Shen. So we know we have, this is how I as a helper, you as a human or whatever, this is the map, the subway map. Like if we were going to put a switchboard onto the body, that's what this is. Once you're in the body, all kinds of things can happen. And some of that we know, and some of it we don't know, because, hey, guess what? It's inside the body. So we call that the microcosm. So inside the body is the microcosm. You have synesthesia. Yeah, so why don't you, Jumbo Sparkles, send me an email. I'll send you this file. I think I have this on my Patreon, but I'm happy to just send it to you. So the body parts and these pathways, on the very end here, this blue one, this is your lungs. This here, all the way in here, this is kidneys. This is the pericardium. Here's the gallbladder and liver in the green. That's our spleen. Stomach is down here. Heart is here with the pinky. There are also termination points of all of the meridians on the hands, the feet, and the ears. Somehow when it's affecting people, the light comes off depending upon organs. I would imagine absolutely. You should talk to Shay. Shay has a similar synesthesia. Mine is all tactile. So Jing is the stuff that we have that we're born with. So Jing is everything that our mother experienced, all maternal stress. It is any congenital situation, anything that, like any genetic situation, any trauma during birth, trauma right after birth, but also whatever reserves you have that have been depleted over the course of a lifetime. So a human who is chronically ill, Jing is going to be like a thing. There's not going to be as much Jing, or it's going to be much more challenging to use in the world, because it's like not having enough fuel in the tank, just as a set point. Jing is associated with compassion, is the primary emotion that we're brought into from a virtue perspective. And compassion has to do with a desire to see and experience less suffering, which is not the same as empathizing with somebody or fixing it for somebody. It is a desire to have less suffering. And to be operating from the desire for less suffering would also say that we're going to honor Jing as much as we're able to. We are not set up to do that in the United States, but it's a wonderful thing to contemplate. Okay? Thank you for sharing the live. Qi here, I'm making magenta. Oh my gosh, you're crying? I hope that's a happy crying. I'm just making sure Jumbo Sparkles is okay. Good cry, good. Chi is energy. This is energy, life force, prana. This is everything you associate with energy. In practice, like from a practical experience, chi is, it would map to the social aspect of a biopsychosocial reality or to the shared reality aspect. Chi is also energy that can increase or decrease. This is where school happens. This is where invention happens. This is where you're making your meals. This is where we're making babies. This is where we're dancing. This is also the energy that's moving through all these channels is chi. But it's not the only energy, right? Because there's also jing. Then there's the third one. And the third aspect, my cat's having another meltdown. Let me grab some water. The third kind of energy is called Shen. And that's associated with the water element in the body. So earth, fire, water, jing, qi, shen, separate and distinct concepts to meridians that are yin and yang. Right, so this is like super, super complex, but also kind of simple. Because if I'm talking about two things, I'm talking about a magnet. If it's yin or yang, it's a magnet. As soon as I have three things, now I can do something with it. What I love about the set point being jing and that you never mess with jing, truly, that's the rule. That is the rule of alchemy. You don't mess with somebody else's jing. This is your life force energy. So I'm not going to mess with it without permission, consent. This is where all of your understanding occurs from a informed consent perspective when you're at the doctor. Your understanding is here, but the information is all the way up here. Information is coming through the mind, through Shen. So the three sizes of these are relevant as well. This is the heaviest relative gravity. This is the middle relative gravity. This is light relative gravity. But these are fixed from a tensegrity perspective. Anybody here speaks tensegrity? You've tried to tell people it's hard. The Jesus auras, that's exciting. Jing, Qi, Shen, compassion, moderation. Jing, Qi, Shen, compassion, moderation, humility. Jing, Qi, Shen. Yin, Yang. What else? Now I'm making it harder for you. I know, much more confusing. Yin and Yang is black and white. That's the poles. Okay, so yang organs associated in the meridians. Lungs and large intestine. Lungs are yin, large intestine is yang. Lungs are yin because they're full all the time. Large intestine is yang because it empties and fills. Yin and yang. The corona from the place of perspective, perception, how we perceive, how we understand. This corona is the interface between the outside and the inside, between what I know, what I do, between what I'm showing you and what goes into it. Very much between what I think is supposed to happen and then what actually is going on. Don't worry about that. Please don't worry about that. I just needed that little bit of the TISM snack sesh. That's right, baby. We're looking at some Meridians, and I'm telling you that. Other things. I'm just looking for the, please rejuvenate. I'm gonna go to the restroom. I'll be right back. Enjoy, contemplate, come up with a question. I'll be right back. Sorry, kitty. A little bit too much gravity there. I'm gonna put on. I was just peeing. That's what was going on. They mimic the planet. Are you talking about the Meridians? They absolutely do. Very much so. Very, very much so. You can't read what it says, yeah. They do mirror the planet, and also they're contemplated through a couple different ways. One way is the very direct this. There's also an indirect way that they're contemplated through our fascia and our connective tissue and the I Ching too, as one of the ways that the bean chart is translated. This is the bean chart, this very complex one. One of the ways this is translated is as the inner warp. So this is super simple, very obvious, very clear. Thank you very much. This is what's actually happening. This is what's really going on. So when your acupuncturist puts a needle in one of these points, let's say they're going into your stomach, then the Ji, the entity, this is Chinese medicine. Ji, the entity associated with the stomach and spleen, goes out and does what it does. And part of that is influencing how you experience psycho-emotional pain in particular. So one of the major benefits of contemplating a body this way is there's already space for your pain and suffering. And look how pretty it is. Seriously. Thank you. I don't want to have to look at medical charts all the time. So that is the external view. This is the internal view. Street map, catacombs. Yep. Hook up wires to someone's pressure points and find out which ones match as a twin. It's already been done. Yes. Absolutely. Looking for something to share with you. My brain views. I made a couple posters today. They're on my website for views of the brain. This one is your sensory motor cortex from the bottom up. So this is the inner landscape, and this is the outer map. Absolutely, I've had experience with acupuncture. I think it's wonderful. I do. I think that, you know, a lot of these, how shall I say, acupuncture did not make like the pain of my cancer go away, but it made being in the pain of it much easier. And I love acupuncture for chronic conditions as well, because acupuncturists are attuned to time. Western medicine is not attuned to time, it's attuned to incident. And this is also true with the skinny white yoga chick. This is a huge problem with appropriation, is it's all about the incident. It's not about longevity, it's not about time. For time, that's where you get like lineage, is with time, not just with knowing. Time. What if I hook up two people together? It depends on how you're doing that. People have done all kinds of things. This is no shadow, only Shen. This is also a poster you can have, and then you put it in your environment and you look at it, and balances your whole sensory motor cortex using CMY to assist with your perception. That sounds very exciting, hooking two people up in a gyroscope. I feel like one human is a gyroscope in this. Absolutely. To move fluid. So the inner warp. The warp as in what you would needlepoint on, what you sew on. Like this, like mending. Very, very subtle. These channels, I mean, look how amazingly detailed this is. Okay, this is very, very detailed. The most any doctor, any Chinese medicine doctor is doing to this directly is amoxism, herbs, a little bit of a needle. Okay, this, though, if we contemplate experiencing it and being in it and what it might be like, then we have this whole amazing opportunity to say, well, my experience is this. What's your experience? Oh, okay, I understand it this way. How do you understand it? You already have your own little place to be. I want to see if I can change the background. How do I change the background so that you can see the inner landscape the way I want you to see it? So you've been looking to see if it lines up with your synesthesia. I would love to know if it does. There's so much more room for all of these weird, unique brain states in Chinese medicine than there is in Western medicine, or at least as I understand TCM. Again, I'm a scholar, philosopher, yoga human. To complete your thought, well, you do it. Complete the thought. Looking at your brain. Let's look at your brain. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There we go. There it is. Ah! So there's your trigeminal nerve. Vagus nerve is down here. Ears and eyes, all these nerves of the brain. When I map the Nijing 2 onto the brain, look at all of this. Now, why did I think I could do that? Because I'm smart. Also because I know that this is the homunculus. This is the mountain of the 9 peaks. It's already been identified to be the homunculus. Homunculus is it's a region on the brain that is labeled the sensory cortex and the motor cortex, or sensory motor cortex. And very often it's displayed with, like, you'll see like a hand sticking out and like a foot. I mean, it looks so horrendous. But the homunculus is also specific, or speaking to this whole front and back end aspect of human. And from a neurodivergent perspective, I feel like the more complex and weird our brain situations are, the more wiggly the homunculus relationship within the sensory motor experience is going to be. And that just makes sense, right? Because like if you have synesthesia, I have synesthesia. I take in information, it's gonna go, it gets mixed up. Does it get mixed up? Because if it's all related, if it's all together, maybe it's just being propagated in a way, building sandcastles with your father until your mom took the urn away. Okay. Something that happens often in the West, and the West is anything that goes to the medical model, which is all health and wellness at this point. We make a false equivalence between the map and the mapping. This is a map. This is a mapping. How do I see the difference? Let me tell you. This is like a street map, or you might get like a seating chart, or you know, it tells you where things are. This tells you what's going on. Sound and geometry overlap, absolutely. For sure. Absolutely it does. So bottom up, from the brainstem up, this is the very back of your head. This is the occiput. This is where your skull connects to your neck. On the brain, this is your cerebellum. Medulla oblongata is in here, and the brain stem. This is like the cluster of voluntary, involuntary, and central nervous system is all there. There's also a structure called the pons, P-O-N-S, which in my mind is like when she's in the Titanic and she's on the front of the boat, like, oh, la, 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 and she's like this, that's the pons. And I feel like that's what we want. I feel like that's what the safe and sound story is, where you can just be surrendered and it's like you're flying, right? Yes. But that's not the truth. The truth is we have to be so aware and like all the things and pay attention, and I'm in pain and all of this stuff is going on. With the lack of attention to what's happening with this split at the corpus callosum as it relates to media, I'm just saying, come be a bean. It'll very much help your cognition, for sure. Does anybody see how this looks like your bum? Yes. Here's your bum. So that would make your kidneys be about here. Taint, kidneys, boobies, face, turkey tail are good for cancer. That's nice to know. I don't make any recommendations like that on this channel. These structures here are super very important. This is the pagoda of the 12 stories, the 12-story pagoda. A lot of folks only experience synesthesia with tryptamines. This is one of the promises of psychedelic assisted therapy, is a synesthetic experience. I love that word, synesthetic. What were we just talking about? You've been told to open places. Thank you for all the likes and the follows. I appreciate it. Doctors know Doctors know what they know. Doctors know what they know. Let's see if I can find some writing about the extraordinary vessels, because the extraordinary vessels are 8 other vessels, 8 more vessels that speak to psycho-emotional pain and generational trauma. Very little, but they are learning them. Oh, good. Shay's helping Jumbo Sparkles. I just want to read. So these vessels. Well, hello, Amish. Welcome. We're hanging out with the Meridians. Now we're talking about the extraordinary vessels. The extraordinary vessels are the vessels that protect us when we're gestating. And they're not fully active until we're born, which is the same with our other meridians, but extraordinary vessels in particular. The extraordinary vessels are very much, I would encourage us to be contemplating them this. They're like the inner mystery. They're the who knows. They're like that, like, whoa. Okay, and then what Chinese medicine does, some of us are still gestating. It so does. That's so true. Oh, is that not the case? So true. Let me see if I can do something for us with that. Here we go. Can you, yeah, you can kind of see. Oh, good. So I want to tell you about the ancestries and how the ancestries still gestating. How the ancestries and the meridians create even more complexity, which for some neurodivergent humans, we love that. Okay, if this is way too complex, don't worry about it. So there's 3 ancestries in the Nijing too. There's 3 of them. This is the first, this is the second, and this is the third. Okay, 1, 2, 3, pretty simple. This first ancestry, this is where Jing is. First ancestry, Jing. Jing is like jizz. Jing jizz, think about that, okay? This is finite. This is, well, oh yeah, we can talk about epigenetics. This is genetics. Genetic code, first ancestry. I'm showing you on the brain, but we'll just pretend like, okay? Jing. Which one is suspected to have developed first? The Tao developed first. This is all just after. When a zygote is fertilized, the extraordinary vessels are activated. As it relates to a human developing, I'm still waiting for my lesson on that. So that is Jing. That is the first ancestry. Second ancestry is here. And we're going to just think second ancestry, babies, children. Also, boobies, babies, okay? Children on the Star Bridge, second ancestry. Third ancestry is the head. This is epigenetic. So here's genetic, epigenetic, memetic, M-E-M-E. How do I do this backwards? M-E-M-E. Gene. I don't think I got it right, but memes are in the middle. So epigenetics, genetics, memetics. Map the development that should match how and where it starts to line up. I'm not sure what you're asking me yet. Let me finish the ancestries. Third ancestry, first, second, third. There are 8 extraordinary vessels. We see 8s a lot in Chinese medicine and especially the alchemy. Anytime I see an 8, I know I'm going to the Bagua. I also know I'm going to infinity, and that means there's going to be a trick. There's always a trick. Okay? There's always a trick. This is the trick. Okay, well, I'm very happy to answer your questions if I'm capable of it, like anytime. Here's the trick. There are 8 extraordinary vessels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They do not go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They go 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a Mobius structure. Bagua to Lo Shu. Shay, reading ahead. Let's stay with the ancestries for a second, because I want to talk about the epigenetics. And I think I can relate this. Oh, don't laugh. That's fine. I think I can relate it back to the Meridians. And remember, we're talking about alchemy, mindfulness, meditation, and existing. We are not talking about Chinese medicine invasive. Okay? This is metaphor and meaning and mirroring. Jing, as the first ancestry, as the finite, this is a closed loop. In the closed loop, open loop reality. That's a closed loop. This is open. This is an open loop. I don't know how open loops are displayed. And then this could be closed or open. Could be one or the other. So from the M theory, this is one whole ass human. You could call it a soul. I did a little art treatment of a chart from Chinese medicine that acupuncturists use so that we could look at metaphors of bodies. So the epigenetics looks like there's a real relationship to you. I'm sure there is. I just don't know what everybody's thinking right now. Genetics, epigenetics, and memetics, M-E-M-E. Genetics. From an ancestry perspective, the first ancestry, mind, body, soul, body, mind, spirit is the way the stack would go, Taze. Body, mind, spirit. So the body, oh, I'm so happy that you feel safe. The body is your physical body and whatever you're on, and the surface. So like, I don't exist in the computer, in the machine. I only exist in 3D. That's a very important thing to be aware of. As it relates to the mind or the idea, Chinese medicine has this concept called a Shen, S-H-E-N. I have turned some of them into art. I made a little bathroom book so you can like get little art pieces if you would like to interface with the art. And the Shen are the animating spirits of. Japan has kami. It's a common occurrence in many, many traditions to have some sort of entity. Chinese medicine, the Shen, they do all the labor. So what I've done, Taze, is I've just added S-H-E-N to all kinds of things, where T-I-O-N is the definition and S-H-E-N is the experience. So now bodies, mind says, well, what's my experience of? So the Shen of the organs bring us into the lived experience of emotions, of psychology, and of behavior. And then there's a Shen that lives in the head. Oh, good. I'm glad you're crying happy tears. The Shen that lives in the head, in the brain, is the idea of everything in the first place. So this is so amazing for any number of different religious backgrounds that you might have, and especially if you're starting to deconstruct, because you don't need to take anything away of different religious backgrounds that you might have, and especially if you're starting to deconstruct, because you don't need to take anything away ever. When finding places or adding or subtracting around. So the this mind, body, and soul, as it relates to this whole, I call this the being. Okay, this is one whole ass human. Here's your belly, here's your heart, here's your head. I can't even, what, you exist. There's nothing I can do about that. Now we're into heart space is what's going on. How's that happening? How's it showing up for you? And then the head is, what are you contemplating? How do you understand things? Where do I need to be better at communicating? I'm just looking, connected base, open hearts, brains exchanging and incorporating. That's a good one. Some of the ways that this stuff gets translated too is very much about the matrix. When folks are writing historically to the inner alchemy, the stuff that's happening deep on the inside, lots of discussion of matrix, but I contemplate the matrix like a netting, like a web. I don't contemplate it like metal, and certainly it's not a pipeline. I just want to see what this, here's inner alchemy. So inner alchemy is where I am. It's where you are right now, because we're just having this conversation. This is an exposition of the 8 extraordinary vessels. This is one of the textbooks that your Chinese medicine doctor has to learn. One of them. Taoist techniques of internal cultivation, also known as Neidan, are closely associated with these extraordinary vessels. Quantum mechanics, absolutely. The totality of Taoist alchemy is based on negentropy and thermodynamics. Soft net, yes. Medieval. Things were occurring during the medieval times, yes. So the extraordinary vessels. Let's see, the internal, making sense. I just want to find something that I can read to you. The alchemical material and exposition inquires that we first determine the bounds of internal alchemy. Internal alchemy, which is what this is reflecting into, is part of a larger set of practices and beliefs which share the common aims of transcending space and time. But the thing is that when you're successful in this, you age. You get to age. Manifesting exists. It does if you're contemplating manifesting in alignment with nature. Absolutely. The laws of the universe, though, not the laws of man. And it's very political, too. Taoism started in response to high control governing. They were like, we don't like you, Confucius. We don't want to have so much money to send our kids to the Buddhist temple so they could become a Buddha. Why don't we just go hang out by the ocean, by the river, look at a mountain? And it's all the women. I gotta say, it's all the women. I'm just getting water. Negative karma. Karma is not very present in these writings, not in the same way that it is in the Buddhist writings. How do I use age? How does one use measure if one does not agree with how time is defined? Well, you still are aging over time. Oh, have a good time, villain. But I want to speak now to build negative karma next life. Again, that's a Buddhist concept that is very important and is addressed differently in these practices. I use age because the teachings speak to age. I use age because the teachings do. So what the teachings tell us, let me see, I have a picture. Oh, actually I have art I can show you. Success in some systems, you're going to hear things like forever young, youthful, that kind of thing. Success here is age. And so a Taoist immortal is like the best thing to be. And look, they're weird looking. Taoist immortals are strange looking. They have mangled teeth. They're often shown with like frogs and strange creatures. Just finding some of these. Here's some alchemists, moon goddess. Who's this? Oh, this is like 500. Look at these. I mean, the art is so beautiful. So, I don't know if you don't agree on how time is defined. Taoism looks at cycles, and a lot of them are different though. There's a 24-hour clock that takes these 12 meridians and plots them on a clock. Each meridian gets 2 hours. There's a 12-hour clock. There is the cycle of generation and restriction, which you can see up here in my image. Ooh, thank you for that. That gives you a different kind of a way of contemplating. There's how long does it take for something to occur? So I feel like there's a lot of room for time in this. Clock based on a body, yeah. Where each of those meridians has a time of day. So I'm putting all of this together in a resource for us, by the way. So the lungs as an example, lungs are active from 3 to 5 a.m., large intestine from 5 to 7 a.m. And one of the ways that a TCM doctor might contemplate your situation would be based on if you're experiencing sleep disturbances or certain symptoms during the day. I don't know exactly what those would be because I'm not that kind of a doctor. But it's fascinating. TCM is also looking at the cycles of seasons very, very particularly. Wheels of 12 of them that map everything. Mm-hmm. Fascinating, huh? There's a goddess who births 12 realms. I have not seen the clock in India. I'm not sure what that means. Whoop. How to measure where to look. Brain youth. Being a rock for a while would be nice. Yeah, so Buddhism and Taoism in the Nijing 2, which is the chart that charts the inner landscape, there's a Buddha very prominently displayed on the Nijing 2. That's Buddha. That's Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu is the philosopher that's credited with starting Taoism. And then here's Buddha. So Lao Tzu trumps Buddha. This is a political image, by the way. Very, very political. It's a major, major thing to say that Taoism trumps Buddhism, especially at this time in history. During the, I think this is the Tang Dynasty. Buddha represents vision, represents everything that's possible, the blue sky. But politically and practically, in order to be a family that has a child in Buddhism, you'd have to have children, resources, knowledge, and then the ability to send them to the temple. Taoism, they're like, that's too much. Let's just go hang out by the river. Taoism also rebukes the written word. So if you're familiar with the tenets of white supremacy and the idea that supremacy culture worships the written word, Taoism says the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. The Tao that can be named is not the Tao. And then it's like it has all this stuff named. So it must be pointing to something else or bringing us into something else, or it turns into something else, which I love as well. If you're able to, absolutely, yes. So as far as where the extraordinary vessels arise, which are different than these meridians, but they're kind of the same, so we're going to go with it. Yin and yang and qi all arise from below. So a whole ass human here, yin, yang, and qi arise from below. That's all that means. The ground of the grand thoroughfare pertains to the lesser yin. In front of the lesser yin, oh, you're not going to be able to, hold on. Qi soars up. Yin, yang, qi. All right. So what that is saying is this. Yin, yang, qi. Yin, yang, something else. What I can see, what I can't see, that which I don't know and may never be able to perceive. So there's a definite like acknowledging that we might have more than these dimensions even, but we can only perceive what we can perceive. There's a very famous text called Awakening to Reality that speaks to the experience of sentience. Third strand DNA. I now need to look up third strand DNA. I don't do very good at the new age stuff. Hold on. Third strand DNA binds to the traditional double helix, base pairing. Oh, that's really interesting. Huh. Fascinating. What was I just holding? This is the physical representation of third strand DNA. Physical representation of your brain too. Or was I holding something else? This is the sensory motor cortex. I did this one. The three things. Oh, I see. These. I kind of like what you're saying, but now I have to contemplate them. I need to ask Chad, but I have to make sure I'm asking the right Chad. Do I want to ask the Chad that knows all of my history? Yes. It makes sense to sell third strand DNA in Merkaba. These are Merkabas. That's what these shapes are. The idea of a third strand DNA can serve as a metaphor for contemplating the third perception in my model. So my model, my CMY model states that the corona is where we perceive, and it's also where we can be deceived. In the third strand might represent a heightened awareness, a new paradigm, blah, blah, blah. That's not what I mean. In hypothetical third strand will alter the way we understand biological information. Third strand fundamentally shift how power dynamics and identity align with the extraordinary yin. So that would be this then. I think this is probably where I'm the closest to the third strand, first strand, second strand, third strand, where I'm suggesting that the sits bones are the fixed points of the tensegrity structure of the spine. But again, I'm doing this like through metaphor. I'm not saying that any of this is true, even though it is. That's the flute. Now I want to know what you mean by that. Is that the shape that spins both ways? Top layer and bottom layer. The Merkaba. I want to make sure I'm answering these questions accurately, because now you're speaking my weirdness. Our reality is the Merkaba. I chose Merkaba as a shape because people love a Merkaba. It's also impossible to get two pyramids into each other as solid structures without some sort of mechanical intervention. So as a way to contemplate something like organic and inorganic compounds, since carbon chains have 6 sides, I just used the Merkaba. Cut in half and identify that in geometry is false. I am also oscillating. What? How could I cut this in half? I couldn't even put it together. I had to invent the whole universe from scratch. Oh, okay. Within and without. So the within and without, contemplate it as above, as below, as though. As above, as below, as though. Always have to identify the observer, which is really where Earth ends up, what Earth ends up being in the TCM. As above, as below, as though. Meaning, the water line or sea level, really. As above, as below, as though. If I'm above, that means I can see this way. If I'm below, that means I'm looking up this way. As though puts me right on the same line. As though, this is where we're the most missing in the West. We don't contemplate as though, and as though psycholinguistically is this. It's where we experience movement and the transverse plane of our bodies. Transverse is the one that cuts the top and the bottom. Transverse, as though, to move. So, as above, as below, as though. This is why everybody likes a, who's his name? MC Escher. And there are 3 different bagwas, but that's like a lot for me to discuss right now. I might need to take another break. Do we have questions? 2 pyramids spinning. Yes. Let me get one out for you. But I want to show you what it happens though. So 2 pyramids spinning, right? I can hear that, I can perceive it, but I can't like create it in my body. Where does that happen in the body? Has to be a metaphor in the body. A party, woohoo! What else are we talking about? What else? What else? Tell me. Where's the rest of my little protein moment? Oh, here we go. Bliss harmonic combos. The turning. Heart field centripetal implosion. Those are a lot of words. I do know that breaking your right wrist is over here. This chart is the chart of your meridians that speaks to your organs. Isn't there Merkaba within the magnetic, the heart field? The heart field is the loris. The way I understand that is more like this. Let's see if I can find what I'm looking for. It's, you know that trip toy that I don't see it. That is not how I experience Merkaba. I experience Merkaba in the body spatially, as implied in the movement and the freedom I have in my sensory motor experience, when my sensory motor experience is balanced. I also contemplate Merkaba as the experience of the Crystal Palace. And the Crystal Palace is the brain. So you could also contemplate this as the crystals in your ear. Just as a way to contemplate it. Something that I've always done is, if it's not readily apparent how it translates to the inside, I just figure it's already there. And with a lot of these modalities, if they're speaking to like universal truth, again, maybe I'm just not aware of what it is. So like Merkaba in the heart, I don't even like, and then I've only experienced the loris, the full loris once. Is everything okay on the right side? Yeah, those are just muscles. So it's just showing you the muscles that you have, and then the pathways of the meridians. Because the pathways of the meridians are surface. And when the needle goes in, when the acupuncture needle goes in, it's just going into, just a tiny little bit into your lymph. The 2 vortices intersecting from the gyromagnetic, okay, but where are the vortices? Can I explain the full loris? I can tell you what my experience of it was. And I say was because I'll be speaking to the experience of alchemical pregnancy and birth, which is the whole reason that we do the alchemy, apparently. It only took me 40 years. 2 tornadoes touching, intersecting points. I'm just like watching how this goes. Loris is a kind of field, right? It's a field of energy. Let me just get it. Hold on. I don't like to just make shit up. Hold on. Okay, that's not, I really don't want to know that. Chad is trying to tell me how the loris goes in my own thing, and I'm not asking him. 2 tornadoes touching intersecting points. Loris, energy. No. Okay, my computer doesn't even know what's going on. The full loris. Can I explain the full loris? I'm trying to do something here. This is fascinating. I'm not able to get any loris and heart that has been associated in science. Hold on. Okay, let's forget that. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. I think the answer to your question is no, I can't explain it right now. I could explain it on a different day, but not right now. So you love acupuncture. So this is acupuncture. We can also use it to do Neidan, which is inner alchemy. Just sneezed, pardon me. She's looking at me. She's got the big bug eyes. Ooh, wow. Something that Chinese medicine is really good at is reminding us that just because this is the map doesn't mean that you're going to have all the same experience every time. Okay. Pardon me. Hello. We're looking at some meridians and also discussing the extraordinary vessels. The extraordinary vessels in Chinese medicine are the ones that keep us, no, I just sneezed. They're the ones that keep us safe when we're gestating. And extraordinary vessels become our fascia and our immune system when we're born. So the different vessels themselves. Oh, we were talking about epigenetics. Do we want to talk about epigenetics? Large crystal copper with the bright, oh, that sounds amazing. They become what when we are born? The extraordinary vessels become our fascia and our immune system when we're born. Epigenetics occurs through the 3 ancestries, which on a body are belly, heart, and head. First ancestry, second ancestry, third ancestry, genetics, epigenetics, memetics, M-E-M-E, meme. A meme is a unit of culture. And this guy, Richard Dawkins, wrote a book some time ago called The Selfish Gene. He's an evolutionary biologist. And he was writing about how different kinds of cultural events or cultural moments or cultural signs and symbols over time can have meaning, and then it can change the expression of genes. So epigenetics is what happens when genes expression change, but the genes themselves don't. And how do I want to say this? The awareness during a lifetime in Chinese medicine, so I'm going to take us to the no shadow only Shen. The awareness is that whatever you're born with, that's it. That's what you're born with. Everything that's happening up here in the psychic realm, in the social realm, all of this, that can change, but you can't change. We cannot change that we were born on planet Earth. I cannot change that I was almost dead when I was born. I'm always going to be a twin. Like there are some things that are always going to be true. What's happening up here is where we can influence and affect change. And so as it relates to the extraordinary vessels and the experience of psycho-emotional pain, all of that is occurring in the realm of the inside, not through the switch on the outside. I'm feeling diminishing returns. It might be time for a shower and a little bit of something else, like an outside. So when we're born, when the umbilical cord is cut, the meridians are displayed, they show up on the outside, and then the extraordinary vessels are active on the inside. This is Chinese medicine. The basic framework is neuroaffective somatics. It's a framework I put together, but it's all just based on science and science. Chinese medicine, neuroscience, linguistics. You're very welcome. Go get my stuff. Go get free stuff. Contemplate buying some art. Tell everybody about me. I need to start selling art quickly. And also Katie. I'm not sure I'm going to sell me. I don't want to go into S work, but I might need to. Yeah, so that's what the topic is. The topic is neurodivergent embodiment. Also, you could contemplate it that way. Like all the different ways that a whole-ass human could experience being a whole-ass human. They're very unique. So I just want to see what else I'm seeing. Water and mass. Yes, I can't go there. Thank you. My personality loves you back. Most people like me for a little bit, and then I get very intense. This is acupuncture. This is straight up acupuncture charts. I'm adding the philosophy and the yoga that became acupuncture. And so that's the tradition. Those are the systems that I'm in, Candy X. Are writings, teachings, and ideas that predate acupuncture by about 1,000 years. So some of the texts I'm in are very, 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 very old. Very, very old. But they all pretty much say the same thing. Just get out of the way. Wu Wei is what we're supposed to do in Taoism. Wu Wei. It translates to effortless action, but as it relates to like being a human in relationship, it's inviting us to find ground and to find common and to find flow. I'm glad you like it. So interacting, interfacing, checking out, like playing around with my stuff, you are doing nervous system work because I'm mapping it all back to your actual nervous system. And I'm telling you that's what's happening, which is very different than people who are convincing you of other things and still programming your brain. So I just want everybody to know that's what we're doing. So that's a whole ass human having a whole ass sensory motor experience. But the chart itself from Chinese medicine is only half of this. So I've just done a whole bunch to it just because I'm clever and weird. And a very good designer. All right. What else? Anything else? Invert the image. I doubled. I don't know what invert the image means. Oh, good. I'm glad you like it, Shay. You have a beautiful day as well. All right. Well, I'm going to go write some more stuff down so I can make a book for us. Wait. Hi, birds of where I'm like, what time do I stream? I haven't been streaming like at the same time. I should be by noon every day. Yeah, I'll be back on later, I'm sure. I may be surprised by the image. I would love to see an image that surprises me. So, Candy, my, yeah, it's good to see you. So I'm going to go on tomorrow at like 11 for sure. And then also I'll be, I'm going to have to just start broadcasting my practice so that you can see what this is. It's just, there's not a lot of action. It's a lot of existing. But I think I'm going to start doing that. And you're just going to have to like be okay with horizontal views and whatnot. Okay. Girl going. I will return, of course. And I will see you soon. Bye.